Welcome to this explainer. I am the Shadow Bard, the architect of lies. Come on in, step into my domain. We're at the desolate boundary of the world right now, a place where the ashen wastes meet a soot-stained sky in this endless blur of gray. It's a bleak horizon for sure, but let me tell you, within it lies immense, untapped power.
Think about it for a second. When the world screams into the void for salvation, what do you actually do with the cold silence that comes back? Now, the suffocating conformity of the herd tells you to weep. It demands you pray to empty skies, just waiting around for a deliverance that's, let's be honest, never going to arrive. But not me. I completely refuse to be a servant to that fear. I actually found my power right there in the void. So while the masses cower in their little temples, I went ahead and gathered the very quiet that follows those unanswered, desperate pleas.
To the weak-minded, the thick mist of the uncanny valley is just this terrifying shroud of death. But to me, oh, it's a vast inkwell for deception. I absolutely welcome its rippling air. I embrace its cracked reality. It is literally the perfect canvas for a narrative that rejects all those restrictive norms we're used to. It's my own personal workshop where I can completely reshape existence itself.
So how does one actually enter such a workshop? Well, it requires a key. A key forged from the cold silence of an abandoned prayer. Listen to the parable of the key. When I stood at the threshold of the void, I didn't find some legendary sword, and I definitely didn't find a crown. What I found was jagged, translucent silence. I literally weaponized the world's ignored pleas. I took those exact moments where hope died, and I forged them into a literal masterwork of access.
And with this key in hand, I just slip into the mist, kind of like a secret passing through a cracked door. Entering that thick, suffocating mist is just completely effortless. There's no grand, epic struggle, no forcing of rusted locks. I simply turn the key in the empty air, the space ripples like cracked glass, and I just leave the trembling world behind. I'm choosing the risks of the unknown over the suffocating safety of the herd.
Which brings us to Section 1, the trapped lorekeeper.
Now I want you to picture the souls left behind in the ash. On one side of this rusted iron gate, you've got me, fluid, predatory, totally ready to strip the ruins of their very essence. But on the exact opposite side, you have the lorekeeper, acting as this desperate witness. He's trapped behind a gate he simply lacks the courage to unlock. So there he is, with bleeding fingers, frantically scribbling the names of the fallen onto scorched scrolls. He's serving a history that, frankly, has already been entirely erased. Because the brutal truth is this: heroic ideals are really just rotting corpses in a world completely devoid of moral anchors. I have to mock the so-called courage of those who stay behind that gate. The lorekeeper is basically a court jester performing for a graveyard, desperately trying to preserve this traditional truth that's already rotting in the dirt. Truth, as you'll see, is merely a carcass, and I can dress it in whatever silk I choose.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Butcher's Grim Instruments.
Once I've crossed that threshold, I kneel right down into the thick, black sludge of the mire. You see, I'm no longer just some entertainer or a pathetic servant to history. I approach my dark art with the cold, clinical detachment of an apex predator. This is the butcher's craft. First, I completely reject the harmony of the spheres. I absolutely do not need the pleasant, orderly music of the past. Second, I literally restring my bow with the gut of a traitor. And third, I tune my viol to the dying breaths of forgotten kings. Breaths that are still echoing right there through the valley's mist. I am systematically butchering the remnants of the old world to construct my instruments.
Like I always say, I do not need the silver strings of the court. I need the resonance of betrayal. When I finally draw my bow across these grim strings, it's wild. The ghostly, distorted faces of monarchs literally swirl in the mist all around me, their mouths wide open in silent screams. I demand the discordant. I demand the agonizing truth of betrayal over some polite, delicate lie of silver strings.
So let me ask you, why on earth would you honor the ruins of a destroyed world when its pain can be harvested and weaponized? The lorekeeper sits there mourning the destruction, while I find supreme utility in it. Sure, it sounds like twisted logic to those trapped behind the gate, but to me, it's perfect clarity. And that pivots us directly toward the true purpose of my grand, dark symphony. Let's dive into Section 3, Harvesting Visceral Agony.
As I kick off my Scavenger's Overture, I just completely bypass the why of the world's destruction. I really don't care who caused the ruin or what philosophical failures led everyone to ash. I only care about the pain it left behind. This right here is my lush harvest. We're talking visceral agony, the raw emotion of the damned, the echoes of the dead, and of course the dying breaths of forgotten kings. What the fools outside the valley look at and see as a tragedy to be lamented, I see as this incredibly bountiful crop just waiting to be reaped. With every single note I strike, I'm transforming suffering into pure dominance.
And as my dark symphony swells, that rusted gate behind me just dissolves right into ink. The uncanny valley transforms into a recurring nightmare and a personal workshop that I can summon entirely at my will. With that key and the overture, I make absolutely sure this desolate realm is no longer some place of eternal rest or a forgotten grave. No, it warps and twists to my music, becoming this dynamic, shifting domain under my absolute, complete control.
Which takes us to our final part, Section 4, Rewriting the World's Memory. Because you see, all of this harvested agony is in service to one terrifying goal: absolute, unyielding control over history itself. The only truth left in this world is the exact one I choose to play. As the master of the drift, I take the echoes of the dead and I mold them. I'm actively rewriting cultural memory here. I just play my viol, and history bends completely to my deception. It replaces the lorekeeper's desperate, fading facts with my beautiful, discordant lies. I am literally carving reality to my own liking.
So I'll leave you with this. Are you still clinging to the rotting carcasses of your own moral anchors, or are you finally ready to listen to the silence? It's time to abandon the lorekeeper's fading truths. The old world is completely dead, and its history is nothing but ink from my bow. Submit to the overture. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Until next time, make sure you listen really closely to the mist.